My God, I hate drugs.
The son of Corrections Bureau Chief Nicanor Faeldon, who was arrested in a drug raid in Naga City, has been released. Bicol Police Regional Director Arnel Escobar confirms to CNN Philippines Nicanor Faeldon Jr.'s case has been dismissed. He was charged with visiting and maintaining a drug den after he was arrested along with 3 others last December 14. He tested negative for drugs while the others positive. The elder Faeldon had repeatedly said he won't help his son get off the hook, but maintains his son is not a drug user. Transportation Secretary Art Tugade orders the creation of a technical working group that will look into the prospect of 2-wheel vehicles operating as public transport. The task group will be comprised of representatives from the transportation agencies, the Philippine National Police Highway Patrol Group, Metro Manila Development Authority, Senate, House of Representatives, commuter welfare groups, and law schools, among others. They will discuss the appropriate standards and capacities of a motorcycle and its driver for public transportation service. These include determining the proper type of motorcycle that can be granted a franchise, travel speed of motorcycle taxis, franchise route, seat and helmet requirements, as well as training requirements for motorcycle bikers. The group will also discuss regulatory concerns on accountability for passenger safety in the event of an accident. The move is amid the implementation of a temporary restraining order pending the final ruling of the Supreme Court on law enforcement operations against motorcycles for hire. On Sunday, at least 6,000 angkas and habal-habal drivers gathered at the Cebu City Sports Complex to protest the crackdown on motorcycle taxis across the country. They attended a holy mass officiated by Cebu Archbishop Jose Palma. Palma earlier supported the call to allow the bikers to continue to operate. We are learning more about the ongoing investigation into the murder of Ako Bicol Party List Representative Rodel Batocabe and his security aide. Authorities are looking into the possibility that the killing may be politically motivated. Our Paulo Barcelon tells us more.
Police are now looking at 6 possible suspects in the killing of Representative Rodel Batocabe and his police aide SPO1 Orlando Diaz. Police reports say multiple gunshot wounds to the back claimed the life of the 52-year-old congressman and Diaz as they emerged from a gift-giving event for the elderly and persons with disabilities. 7 senior citizens were also confirmed to have been injured in the incident. Bicol Police Regional Director Chief Superintendent Arnel Escobar says the killing might be politically motivated as Batocabe was on his last term in the House as a party list representative and was supposedly running for mayor of Daraga Town in Albay in the 2019 elections.
Sa ngayon, ang motive nakita namin is politika because of the mayroong intense political rivalry dito sa Daraga.
In her Facebook post dated December 22, the same day the lawmaker was shot, Batocabe's wife Gertie hinted at the possible involvement of her husband's opponents on her Facebook account. However, police are not discounting the possibility that the New People's Army conducted the attack. The Department of Justice has also ordered the NBI to assist police in the investigation. Meanwhile, at least 30 million pesos worth of reward money has been put out by government officials for information leading to the arrest of Batocabe and Diaz's killers. Ako Bicol Party List contributed 15 million pesos, while Albay Governor Al Francis Bichara pledged 2 million pesos for the bounty pool. More than 150 members of the House of Representatives have contributed a total of at least 13 million pesos for the same purpose. Paulo Barcelon, CNN Philippines.
House Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo paid her respects as she visited the wake of Batocabe in Albay yesterday morning. She was welcomed by House Majority Leader Rolando Andaya and Ako Bicol Representative Alfredo Garbin. Arroyo condemns the killing, saying politics has degraded the value of human life. She vows to help bring the perpetrators to justice. Andaya says a memorial service for Batocabe will be held at the House of Representatives on January 14th. An emotional Facebook post by the wife of Representative Rodel Batocabe. She says his death happened on the day of their wedding anniversary. Gertie Duran Batocabe says her husband was supposed to pick her up at 4 p.m. Saturday. They were planning to celebrate with dialysis patients in Bicol. She posted pictures of their travel together. She says, quote, "I will always have these in my heart." She goes on to say, "Come back in my dreams, Ba. Thank you, my love."
A Check on our global headlines. At least 220 people have died and more than 800 were injured after a tsunami in Indonesia last Saturday. Disaster officials say the number is expected to rise since not all areas that were hit have been reached yet. As of Sunday, no foreigners had been reported killed or injured. Saturday's tsunami crashed into villages and hotels in the popular tourist area on the Sunda Strait. That's between the islands of Java and Sumatra. Scientists say the possible cause of the tsunami were undersea landslides after the Krakatoa volcano erupted. People in Indonesia are being urged to stay away from the coast because of the potential for another tsunami as the volcano is still active. U.S. President Donald Trump says he will replace Defense Secretary James Mattis at the start of the new year. That's 2 months earlier than Mattis' planned departure. Trump tweeted Sunday that Mattis will be out of his position on January 1st, with Deputy Secretary of Defense Patrick Shanahan taking over. Mattis submitted his resignation on Thursday, saying his views were not aligned with Trump. The move came on the heels of Trump's plans to withdraw troops from Syria. Mattis had planned to stay on through the end of February to help with the new defense secretary's transition. Straight from the CNN Global headquarters in Atlanta.
More global stories now. More than 200 people have died and over 800 injured after a tsunami in Indonesia. Among the most disturbing images we've seen, an Indonesian rock band being swept by waters during their concert. CNN's Ivan Watson has more from Hong Kong.
Indonesian authorities say the deadly tsunami struck at around 9:37 p.m. on Saturday night on both sides of the Sunda Strait, hitting the eastern side of Sumatra, the western side of Java. And they say it was caused by what they believe was an underwater landslide triggered by volcanic activity. Not an earthquake, but by volcanic activity coming from Anak Krakatau. Now that translates into English as Child of Krakatoa. This is an island that emerged about 50 years after the infamous eruption of the volcano Krakatoa in 1883, which killed more than 30,000 people in the 19th century and sent such an enormous ash cloud into the sky that it is believed to have driven down global temperatures. This island came up after that, and it has been very active in recent months, Indonesian authorities say, and they believe that's what sent this wall of water surging towards the coastline on what was supposed to be a holiday weekend for a national Christmas holiday in Indonesia. So some of these coastal resorts were packed full. And that's why we saw, for example, this harrowing images of a wall of water bursting through a stage as the Indonesian pop band 17 was performing on Saturday night. After that, the following morning, the lead singer of the band emerged and made a plea for people to pray for his missing loved ones, which include his wife, and he said that some of his band members had been killed. Hundreds of people have been killed by this tsunami. The Indonesian authorities say that they believe that the tsunami was worse as a result of a full moon Saturday night and the fact that there was a high tide as well. A leading Indonesian official in the National Disaster Management Agency there says that there need to be more multi-hazard early warning systems for scenarios like this, underwater landslides. I'm Ivan Watson reporting from Hong Kong.
For the first time in 5 decades, cameras have been given access to 2 churches in the Jordan Valley around the site of the baptism of Jesus Christ. The churches sit in an area heavily mined after the 1967 war. Finally, the mines have been cleared and pilgrims will be allowed once again to set foot inside the churches. CNN's Ian Lee reports from the West Bank.
Stepping into this church is to step back in time. The sanctuary abandoned over 50 years ago. But step here last year, and it could be on a landmine. Israel laid thousands along the border with Jordan after the 1967 war, including at 7 churches. These bullet holes are just a reminder of the fighting that took place here. And while this area has been cleared of landmines, you don't have to go far, maybe 200-300 meters, and you're in another minefield. Over the past year, the Israeli government and British NGO Halo have cleared the land around 3 churches, a testament to the peace with Jordan that now prevails.
From our top stories here in the country to headlines across the globe, at least 222 people have died and more than 800 were injured after a tsunami in Indonesia last Saturday. Disaster officials say the number is expected to rise since not all areas that were hit have been reached yet. As of Sunday, no foreigners had been reported killed or injured. Saturday's tsunami crashed into villages and hotels in the popular tourist area on the Sunda Strait. That's between the islands of Java and Sumatra. Scientists say the possible cause of the tsunami were undersea landslides after the Krakatoa volcano erupted. People in Indonesia are being urged to stay away from the coast because of the potential for another tsunami as the volcano is still active. Almost 2 weeks after the arrest of 2 Canadians, extra pressure from Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs in a rare Saturday morning conference call with reporters. The 2 Canadians are being held for endangering China's security. Michael Spavor is a businessman, while Michael Kovrig, a former diplomat. On Saturday, a number of countries allied with Canada issued statements of concern about the detentions. They include larger, more powerful countries China does business with, including the U.S. The 2 Canadians were detained less than 2 weeks after Canada arrested Meng Wanzhou, the powerful CFO of Huawei. That was at the request of the U.S. fraud charges. She's now out on bail. And Japanese Emperor Akihito gives his last annual public statement on his 85th birthday at the Tokyo Imperial Palace. This comes ahead of his expected abdication next year. The emperor's statement largely reflected on his reign, which began in January 1989 with the death of his father, Emperor Hirohito. The emperor is expected to abdicate to his eldest son this April, the first time in history a sitting Japanese monarch has stepped down in 200 years.